So we've had some fantastic insights from our speakers today. So now let's just bring it all together with a dynamic roundtable discussion. We're going to be joined by our special guests. We have the Lagos State Office of SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, here with us. We have the Circular Economic Innovation Partnership, and we have officials from KPMG. So this is what they're going to do. They're going to share their insights on some of the topics that we've discussed so far.
Good afternoon. So my name is Obaolu Odairo, and I work for Circular Economy Innovation Partnership. At this point, we want to speak a bit about our organization and what we do. So we are Circular Economy Innovation Partnership, and one of the key things that we are big on is the P in our acronym, which is partnership. And what does that mean? It means that building ecosystems. It means building ecosystems where circular economy innovation can be supported, where entrepreneurs within the space can innovate and even facilitate that conversation, bring people into the room where we can have conversations like this. So we do it across three core pillars. We do it across three core pillars, which is advocacy, which we support initiatives that speaks to advocacy. We do it across program facilitation. So we facilitate programs that would help to bring stakeholders into the same room to talk about key issues around financing, around building the ecosystem and all that. And then the third pillar, which is also very core to us, is research, because we understand that data is very important to making this decision. And like many of the other speakers have spoken, they have spoken to financing and the importance of data. They have spoken to the opportunities, very many opportunities within the circular economy, and that's really what we try to build upon. We try to do a lot of research work and to encourage research and data gathering. So that's, I would like to say a very big thank you to all the speakers who have spoken, and all the different insights they've shared with us. I think it's just this conversation at this point is to open up us to ask questions if we do have questions. So I'll just hand over to you.
One of the very first things we did when we started Right on the Beach was to go exploring the communities along the coastline. We had one of the very first projects when we gathered students together was for something called the Six Beach experience. And we went to 6 of the communities that were on the beach. And from there, we developed a trek from Takwa Bay all the way to Badagry, which is now part of the things we do every year. We get people from all over the world coming to take part in this. This is just to buttress what Cabo Taylor was just saying about the importance of local tourism. We have to be able to differentiate ourselves. People come to Nigeria for our culture. They come for our people, our smiles, and our environment. They don't come for a McDonald's burger. That is not the point of tourism. And they don't come to see shiny, tall buildings. They come to experience what it means to be a Nigerian, hopefully without the traffic we all experienced today. So, I just wanted to say that, when you think about development, it is very, very important that, you get the communities along. Migration is such a big thing now. And if we don't learn how to understand and manage internal displacement and prevent internal displacement, then we ourselves won't learn how to manage the problems we're going to get from international migration pressures and the backlash against that. I would like to point to someone from the community who has been our pillar of strength in the community. Mr. Francis Abiodun was He's an educator. He's a retired headmaster. And when we started our project, when we had our first data and we knew how much plastic there was, and we had an idea of what it was we wanted to do, and but we didn't know how to get it done with the community. So we went to go and meet Mr. Francis Abiodun, and he gathered the whole community around, and we started chipping at how to get their engagement. What does engagement, community engagement look like? And he helped us to design a process that worked so effortlessly. You know, everybody in the community was engaged. It was nobody was doing it for financial gains. You know, the children brought 22 bottles. The whole community gathered the bottles together. The women separated the bottles and sorted them out. The youths came together to move the bottles and to help us to move the bottles. And it was just, you know, it was just incredible. And then this system was now replicated in other communities. And that is how we were able to move all the 30 tons of plastic. And it's just a perfect way, example of how it is really, really important to talk to the people in the communities and to keep them connected and engaged, because they have the answers to your local problem. You know, you may know whatever you know about how international systems work, but they have the answer to your local problem. So today we would like to honor Mr. Francis Abiodun. We will be giving him a and there's one more thing I'd like to say about Mr. Francis Abiodun. In bringing the community together, we could not have foretold that in 2024 there will be a civic disruption in the community. But because Mr. Abiodun had brought them together as a community, when this problem came, they were able to stand strong as a community. They were able to protect their rights and maintain their dignity and their status as citizens in this country. And for that, I was just so proud of him. And I'm so proud for everything that Mr. Francis Abiodun does. And we will be giving him a small donation, a cash donation from us, a cash prize from us, to thank him and to thank the community members for everything that they've done for us. But I would just like to call him on stage today to be recognized by everybody and to take his time on stage. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. In fact, I am very, very honored to be here. And in fact, what I was doing then, I never knew to come all this far. In fact, I am marveled seeing people of dignity like this. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I want to tell you and the Riteonthebeach that we are in my community, ROTBF'25, to be precise, we are going to still be steadfast with you. No problem. Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to commence the second part, which is the conversation and questions and conversations. So this is going to be conducted by, on our behalf, by Secular Innovation Partners, and it's going to involve a chat really about how do we move these things forward. So all of you, all the volunteers who are here now, we would need you to listen. All day long, you've heard what the experts have to say. Now you're going to hear what the sector-specific experts are going to say, the government, the public, private sector. And if you have anything that you think you need to ask on how you can help move the work we're doing forward. You're here to ask them, but they will also tell you from what they've heard. They will try and give you pointers and directions on where we should be going and how we should bring all this knowledge together and make it work. Thank you very much.
My name is Kate Carrieren. I'm a consultant with KPMG. I'm also here with my team members, and I'll also be yielding the floor to them to join in the conversation. And it's been really interesting hearing the conversation so far, across the various speakers, listening to conversations around sustainable tourism. When the CEO of Cabo, right, when she talked about sustainable tourism, what came to my mind was butane, right? I've done research in the past, on how they incorporated sustainable tourism into the experiences of tourists that come to their country. Bhutan is the first country to become carbon negative, and they ensure that as you come into the country, you pay a premium price, to even go there in the first place. But people are willing to partake in that experience because of the value that it brings. They are able to reduce emissions, from their tourism processes. Now at KPMG, KPMG is a multi-professional firm. I'm sure you all know KPMG as an accounting firm, but beyond accounting, we have a sustainability arm, which is called ESG department, right? And what do? We help businesses conduct their activities in a sustainable manner. So across the environmental metrics, the social metrics, and the governance metrics as well. We help them develop strategies. We've talked about how we can come up with business ideas and innovations, and that's really interesting, But I also understand that not everyone can be an entrepreneur, and beyond having your own business to push the circular economy perspective, it's also important to also think of it from the other lens as well. As you can also be consultants like us, you can help businesses, support them in coming up with strategies, on how they can integrate sustainability into their activities end to end, such that they can reduce their emissions on the environment, integrate circularity, across their businesses. And, being a consultant, you have the opportunity to do meaningful work that makes an impact, and inspires change. Now, I'll tell you how I got into consulting. For me, it started out from, I did my master's in a country that had a very high sustainability index. And just, seeing that experience on how they had a sustainability lens to everything that they did, even from courses as well. And it's important as young professionals, you're leaders of tomorrow. You understand that when you go into academia, how can you integrate sustainability into your courses? I'm not sure how it works now. I finished school a while ago, but the experience I had, basically, that's what motivated me to even want to go into sustainability. There was always a sustainability aspect to every course. You talk about construction. My background is in civil engineering. You talk about construction. Is how can I do this construction in a sustainable way? I had a project where we had to integrate agricultural waste, into building construction so that you can do low-cost housing, projects that has minimal impact on the environment. You're able to reduce your emissions, and you're able to also manage agricultural waste. Now, we can bring that lens into our various professions, beyond construction, whatever it is that we are doing. How can we integrate circularity into each and all, into each of the processes from end to end? So beyond that, I've talked about as going into a business, as a consultant, and then in academia. In raising future generations of tomorrow, how can we incorporate sustainability into their curriculum? Your various courses, you have to look at it from the lens of sustainability. When I finish school, how can I integrate sustainability in my day-to-day practice, as a consultant or even as an entrepreneur? So that's my own contribution. It would be nice to see young professionals come up as consultants from these events and see you inspire change and do work that truly matters in impacting communities. And the change starts with you.
I think one of the key things that have been echoed so far is the fact that circular economy thrives on innovation. And when you're building a circular business, it's still a business in every sense of it. So it's there's circularity involved, but it's also a business. And what does that mean? It means that you have to have a clear value proposition that drives value to it, and then value, of course, always attracts money. And so you are here from the public sector, I believe. Yes, we're going to get a public sector angle, and then we'll bring it to the room.
My name is Sholanke Asia, and I am a technical assistant at the Lagos State Office of Sustainable Development Goals. And basically, I'll backtrack a bit. I think I got to know Mr. Akin sometime last year, where we had to do a series of projects with Riteonthebeach. And I think from our first interaction, it was very obvious that, first of all, this person knows what he's doing. And also, this person has like the passion and the resources to want to create a difference. But before I digress too much, what basically does the Lagos State Office of Sustainable Development Goals mean? So the office was created in 2015 after we moved from MDGs to SDG also in 2015. And basically, the office was charged to ensure that the Sustainable Development Goals are all localized in Lagos State, and also projects that are being implemented in the states aligns with the project, with the Sustainable Development Goals, and most importantly, to ensure that people, particularly young people, take ownership of the goals. So I'll start from the public sector. One of the things the office does is, mostly if the state is going on any project or you're doing anything, we try as much as possible to have input to ensure that those projects are aligned sustainably. According to what our last speaker from KPMG said, I really like the fact that you brought in an angle that's mostly outside the country, whether it's agriculture, it's engineering, it's health. There is always an aspect of sustainability to it. I also did my master's, and it was also in the health space, and I knew how many courses we had to take that aligned with sustainable development goals, not specifically sustainable development goals, but also sustainability. Even if you are in the healthcare space, how do you ensure that services, solutions basically, and the values you are giving to the society is one that we can always go back, replicate, and is always sustainable? So if the government is doing an agricultural innovation, let's say we are going at Onjeko or the Lagos Food Hub or several initiatives that the government is doing, the office asks, how exactly does this align with the Sustainable Development Goals? And most importantly, we are also charged with measuring and monitoring how that particular initiative or projects or even programs, how they align with the Sustainable Development Goals, what are the themes under it, and also measure that, okay, let's say before you started, this is where we are. After you ended, this is what the figures are. And even if there are still gaps, what then does that particular MDA, which is the ministry or department or the agency, have to do to ensure that we close the gap, right? So beyond that, now we look into the private sector. Mostly what we do with the private sector is a lot of partnerships and collaboration. That is where our relationship with Mr. Akin started, where we also helped with the Plastic-Free July that was done recently in July, and several other initiatives. Since there are quite a number of students here, I would like to say this 2025, we are mostly going into 2026. And we have 4 more years. My charge is this. I would like you to take advantage of opportunities. I think it's also my belief that quite a number of you here are volunteers, right? I want to let you know that the sustainable development space or the sustainability space is actually, it's young, it's upcoming, right? And we actually need a lot of young people that know what they are doing, that actually understands the value of, when we have young people that are not just going into career because they want to go into career, we also have young people that are looking at it through the aspect of sustainability. The space is very fertile. So I'm happy that almost anywhere I go, I see quite a number of young people volunteering and just wanting to know, to do better for themselves, to do better for the society. And that was why I said, take advantage of opportunity. You volunteering for a course like this is an opportunity. Look outside and also see opportunities. We have several speakers that come here today. The young man that spoke to us about the wildlife and things like that. I'm sure you also have people that are volunteering for the organization. These things would always count for you and not against you.
Do we have anybody with questions? Please just raise so that we can take it all together. If you have a question, please can you raise your hand? Okay, we have 2 people now who have questions. So, okay. Yes, let's start with the 2. Yeah. Over to you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adini Adibayo. I'm a product manager. And so my question is actually more tailored towards growth engineering and how we can see how that merges into circular economy and sustainability. So one of the things that I picked again from Mrs. Billy's lesson was very heavy on how growth engineering at its core is rooted at what drives people to take decisions. So why then should I buy this? Why should I be interested in someone's product? So my question is heavy on how can growth engineering principles at its core be applied to accelerate the transition to a circular economy, right? And what are the strategies that various businesses can use or adopt to drive sustainable growth? So because again, for me, sustainability is simple enough, continuity. How can we do something that continues and transcends beyond what we do? And so how can we do that while minimizing waste and reducing environmental impact?
So you take that question again.
Again?
Yes.
All right then. Sorry. Okay. So my question is centered around growth engineering and how we can see how can tie that into circular economy. So because the question goes, how can growth engineering principles, because at its core, what you mentioned was what drives people to take decisions. So why do I buy something? Why should I pay for this? And so along that line. And it's now, how can we use growth engineering principles and how can it be applied to accelerate the transition into a circular economy? And what are the strategies at best that businesses can adopt to drive sustainable growth while minimizing waste and in turn reducing environmental impact? Thank you.
Great question. So if you remember when I started my presentation, I tried to explain that growth principles can be applied to any type of business, right? And I also emphasized the fact that when we're talking about the circular economy, right, the sustainability aspect is very important. We focus a lot on that part, but we also need to think about the economics, right, the business part. So for me, when we're thinking about what value can growth engineering bring to this, I'm thinking about the outputs. I'm thinking about the products and the services. How can you drive growth and make them sustainable, right? Because people will, again, you need to understand people's needs and what drives their motivation, right? For some people, maybe who survival is really key, the nairas and kobbers matter to them more than the long-term environmental effects, right? So at the end of the day, you need to make sure that the economics of it makes sense. So that's where growth engineering comes in. When you have products or you have services and initiatives that you want to run, how do you do that in a very effective way? And it's being systematic about it, because a lot of times we just go with our default. We just say, oh, let's talk to the people that we know, let's put a program together, etc. That can be a starting point. But if you start to break it down using growth frameworks, like, okay, so I want to get a lot of people to pick plastics from the beach. How do I drive awareness? Who are the people that I need to be volunteers? Where are they? Like, which channels do I need to use to drive awareness so that I can reach them? Then consideration, what messaging am I putting out there that convinces them that this is a worthy cause to volunteer for, right? Then conversion, how do I make it easy for them? If there's somebody that's in I don't know, Unilag, how do I make it easy for them? Conversion for me at that point is somebody coming physically to come and help me pick, right? How do I make sure that they get there, right? What are the barriers in them getting there? So these frameworks, growth engineering frameworks, are very useful in helping you to be very objective and maximizing the outputs or the value of whatever activity you're doing. So whether it's getting volunteers to a beach to pick, whether it's selling a product or a service that is the output of like a circular economy engagement, then growth principles can be valuable. I hope that answers your question.
Please, a round of applause for the question and the answered question. So you can see that she has put it in perspective. a secular business or a secular initiative, you have to look at it from an economic perspective and build your strategies accordingly. Over to you.
Afternoon, everybody. My name is Silke. I am here on behalf of the Circular Innovation Platform, but I'm also an academic myself. And I'm Dutch. I moved to Nigeria a year ago. So my background is I have a PhD in business and sustainability from a more Dutch Western background. So for example, the Dutch, when you think about the business case of sustainability, the Dutch are known sometimes for being a bit stingy with money, but also they like the identity of I'm like a sustainability warrior, right? We have something called the oat milk elite. People who say, I buy oat milk instead of regular cow milk, and that makes me a better person. So my question to you, I think the whole room is an expert here. My question is, how can we make what aspects of Nigeria or Lagos make it the business case? What is the contextual characteristics of the people in Lagos that we can sell this story? What do you think? I'm very curious.
When we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right, I think that provides a lot of context when we're looking at how different people are motivated and how they engage with different ideas. Actualization is higher up on that pyramid, right? And so when you're in an economy or in a country where your safety needs are met, your food needs are met, security needs are met, then like you look higher levels of motivation, like self-actualization, like ethics matter to you. But in a country like Nigeria, where so many people, or such a huge proportion of the population is living under the poverty line, you really need to translate it into those bottom line needs that they have. How does it impact their security? How does it impact their food or their ability to eat and sustain themselves? And finding those bridges is what helps to make it more salient. And again, you need to maybe break it down demographically as well, right? So the different types of demographic profiles, the bottom of the pyramid, the middle class, upper middle class, you need to speak different languages to each of these segments. Yeah.
I just wanted to say one thing because you are, I don't know if I got the question right, but I think you were asking about the characteristics of that we can sort of build on, like cultural or so. When this July, when we did the plastic-free July, one of the things that was amazing to us was how every single person we approached knew exactly what we were doing. They knew plastic was a problem. They could see our solution, and they just took it on. It did not even need any English to explain. It did not need anything. So what I'm saying is that that culturally, we share the problems. We share the problems of the city. And if you bring out solutions that make sense to the people, then it's very easy for it to become their culture. Like for example, we are trying to create a separation at source culture. And from the trial that we had in July, we realized that this is a no-brainer for a city like Lagos. Everybody's aware of the problem and wants to get on it. So it is a very low-hanging fruit to do something like that, and we need to look for low-hanging fruits where people like it, like Nigerians love a party. They love to come out together and do stuff together. So it's actually really easy to mobilize us. What we do need is energy and ideas. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we are right on the beach, try to direct the youth.
Thank you.
We have a question, okay.
My question is I'm so sorry, I don't remember your name, but regarding wildlife conservation, I wanted to ask about starting small. Your speech really stood out to me because sometimes it's when you look at the world in general and even Lagos, it almost feels as if it's a losing battle. So seeing that, yeah, of course, we know that this problem is very prevalent and it doesn't necessarily appear as if there's a change in sight, but it doesn't take away the fact that it is all our individual responsibility as well. So in that regard, I wanted to ask ways that if I wanted to start small, I'm aware that I can't do it alone myself. So I wanted to ask ways that I can integrate other people in my small scale plan. For instance, if I want to like do something for the community, how do I appeal to others in that regard?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Yes, you are right that it's almost working against the tide. But I remember when we started, I mean, everyone, even family members, told me I was joking, that it was a lost battle. I should not even try it. But I think it was, a bit of stubbornness there, a bit of, I had no other option. Personally, I didn't have any other thing that I wanted to, I was working, but I wanted to, another outlet. And that was the only thing I remember that stood out for me way back then. First, you have to think about why I always tell anyone going into this field, and I've seen people who tried, but sort of gave up somehow along the way, because you have to first ask the question why you're doing it, and how, and why you're doing it, and if you are ready to face everything you're going to face. Now, I want to get, when we started, the community that I was around, also, yes, nobody understood what we were doing. They wanted to find out whether, do we need the animals, do we take these animals so that we can eat them, since maybe, they were shocked to see that, in fact, so shocked to the point that by the time I approached even the government in Lagos, they had never seen someone coming to ask them, we want to help out in this. So they felt we were traffickers, like we wanted to traffic the animal. So how did I convince them? Consistency. Like I said, 13 years. And I mean, it's not a joke, because even organizations, big organizations, yes, they understand the idea of planting trees. Big organizations understand the ideas of planting trees, picking up plastic bottles, which is very good, which is very important. But saving wildlife doesn't sound feasible. I mean, it doesn't sound, can it be accomplished? Does Lagos even have it? Or does Nigeria even have that? So consistency, so we started doing the little bits we were doing, talking to the immediate community. The immediate community started seeing it. Then from there, we started putting, in fact, listening to her, I mean, it really drew a lot of things home. Because since we are not business oriented, but being an initiative that needs to create awareness and have people also commit to that, you will begin to see people who, even though the little fraction, I remember when I was a child, I used to love dogs. I have a pet. Such people, you will begin to see that growth mindset within them that, really, I can extend my love. I have my dog, but I can extend my love to other things. So if you make me connect the fact that if I don't pick up that plastic, it can affect my own animals or the one I say I love, because having dogs is a big thing. I've noticed even here in Lagos. But you see them, they are being converted. They are being saying, okay, not only my dogs now, let me open my mind to another kind of animal that is there. And slowly, consistently, you just have to keep doing it. And sometimes you must understand that you may not be able to get anybody, so you have to do it on your own. But keep doing it on your own till they begin to see you, and they're going to see the passion that you have, and definitely within a short time, everyone basically comes on board. And right now, the people that we have on board are people I never even dreamt of that would even give an ear to courses like this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ooh, what a day we've had. So as we round up, there's a challenge, right? And usually where there is a challenge, there's an opportunity, right? And the challenge particularly is that we have a waste management challenge in Lagos. Usually, if you know, Olusoso landfill is full to the brim. And there's conversation around even the environmental impact of not, finding a solution to those kind of existential challenges. And like you mentioned, whether it's in the concrete jungle or it's along the coastal areas, there's a need for all of us to, forge some solution along this. And that's why innovation is really critical in this. Innovation is very important. So innovation is pretty much thinking about a problem, a challenge, and saying that what are creative ways to divert this into an opportunity. And that is why we have young people in the room, which I'm very happy about. And I really must commend Riteonthebeach for carrying young people along. Young people like myself, I'm not trying to exclude myself. It's very important because the energy of the youth is very, very critical. Our creative thinking, the Gen Z spirit, is very important in, thinking about these challenges and what are the creative ways to resolve these issues. And so it's not a call for us to run away from the challenge or to point fingers, right? It's a call for us to, take that responsibilities as individuals and say that as a person, what am I doing today to not be a part of the problem, rather being a part of the solution?